Come on in.
Just get close.
All right. I know that people will watch this post-production, so even though it's live, I'm going to assume that it was not lying to us when it said that it's live. Hello, Mayhem family. Welcome to the barn. Rory McKernan here, joined by Nathan Jenkins and Nick Shaw of RP Strength. And man, couldn't be more happy. I was about to read the ad read. This episode is brought to you by RP Strength, but you're here.
We are here.
Would it be weird to make you read your own ad?
It would be very weird. I feel very uncomfortable doing that. I gotta be honest. I don't know.
All right. Well, then let's keep it real.
Totally.
It's been a minute since you've been here, so maybe let's jump right into it. Glad you guys are here. Obviously, we got to spend the day together, and but I would love for people to know who you are, why you're here, and then we'll kind of get into some of the cool things we've been doing lately in our partnership. But I'd love to know how it all started.
Yeah, totally. So I think the first time I came up here was 2018 when we first started working with Rich. So I've been up here 3 or 4 times now. First time in a couple of years though, and they've added a lot on, man. It's a really great place to train. I'm just trying not to embarrass myself here, to be honest, when it comes to CrossFit training. So.
Well, maybe in the fitness sense, maybe, but I still think that you're an absolute beast. I want to encourage people who are tuning in. If you have fitness-related questions, and especially a lot of you guys, I know that you're on either the app RP or you're getting coaching through RP. So if you guys have specific questions, we have 2 very, very big brains here, and Travis Booth already with the are you happy that Rich is eating his veggies? Yeah. So we finally got to him. I think that had something to do with some of his blood work, where it was like, hey, playa, you need to get some fiber in that diet.
It can't hurt to eat some fruits and veggies along the way.
No doubt.
So it's not a bad thing, that's for sure.
So for people that don't know, RP, tell us about it a little bit. Like give me the genesis story.
Oh man, the genesis story. So we really just wanted to have an evidence-based approach to nutrition. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we just wanted to, we have 20 plus PhDs on staff. Nathan Jenkins over here is one of them. And rather than have to deal with all this misinformation, all this crazy stuff that's out there, like let's just kind of look at everything, let's sort through it and see what actually works for people. And that's what we do.
Sure. And Nathan, how long have you been on board?
I just finished up 3 years, actually. March 2018, I started out with RP. Loving it. Been
cool.
There ever since. And
a PhD.
And my other job, it's hard to know which is my main job, which is the side job anymore. It's kind of all the same. It's just I work all the time.
Hey, but the boss is here. You're supposed to say RP is the main thing. Yeah.
But I'm also a professor at University of Georgia.
Okay.
Of exercise science, and and then I also for fun and also truly a professional outlet as well.
Yeah.
I work with clients with RP.
Well, they even do some research down at UGA about CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
So
within RP, my specialty, like the type of clients I tend to work with are CrossFit oriented.
Copy that.
Clients. And my theme of my research is it's very heavily influenced by CrossFit as
well. And you gently push your students in that direction.
Yeah. It's not like a requirement to be a CrossFitter if you work in my lab, but it's kind of unspoken.
Yeah.
It kind of works out. We self-select.
Peer pressure.
Yeah. Well, there's like a natural selection kind of thing.
Hey, both you guys just take your mic and kind of aim it a little bit more towards your mouth here. You can even bend the side thing. I want to give a shout out to Julie Peroni. Sorry if I messed up your last name. Been using RP since the start of the year, and I'm down almost 30 pounds.
Oh, heck yeah.
Feeling much better. Love it. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Ellis in Ireland. Hey, how's it going? And Ellis gave a shout out to Julie too. So it's been it long predates me, and we were talking earlier about like, man, when did we first meet in person? It was at the games, or I think I track it back to here at Mustard Seed. You've been working with Rich for quite some time. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I think he was talking to the folks at Trifecta and kind of got introduced through there. And I think that was coming off the year where they hadn't done so well at the games. And I think Rich kind of knew that, he had kind of been winging it most of his career. So it's kind of like he just wanted to dial things in a little bit. And so that's kind of what we did. He was used to maybe not eating the
You can say
food.
it.
He wasn't eating the best.
You can give a shout out to Chick-fil-A. We don't mind.
Well, Chick-fil-A, chocolate milk, all that stuff. So, really, I think one of the main things that we just tried to do was, at least kind of the first times I ever talked with him was, hey, let's maybe actually get you eating a little bit earlier in the day. And that way you actually might have a little more energy. You might recover a little bit better. And he started doing that, and he started feeling better. And we've since kind of tweaked it a little bit to kind of meet him where he's at. So if you understand the basics, if you get your calories and macronutrients, those are the first 2 main things. Nutrient timing comes after that. And he wanted to, so to not eat earlier.
And literally in your book, it really helped. I love you visualize that in a pyramid.
Yep.
So literally for folks who are not, I even see Angelina who said, hey, I really want to do RP, but it's so confusing. I think we're about to unpack a lot of this stuff, Angelina. So hopefully it's less confusing after that. But that visualization of what's the most important, like, let's make sure you're eating the right things. And then you prioritize that. So it's like, hey, supplements are way up here once all this is dialed in, but I'm putting the cart in front of the horse. So with Rich in particular, you kind of went through that process.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, as long as you get your calories and macros in order, that nutrient timing piece, you have a little bit more flexibility there. And that's kind of where the fasting came into the Rich, because he's like, I don't really like eating in the morning. So it would have been bad for us as coaches to be like, no, you must do this. We're like, okay, let's kind of meet you where you're at. Let's still get all the basics covered first. And then if we have those covered, like, you have a little more flexibility to do those things.
Yeah, I love it. And again, for those of you who are just joining us, we are live right now. So I've got Nick Shaw and Nathan Jenkins from RP. So if you have real-time questions, and Angelina in particular, I would love for you to tell us what it is that you find confusing so that we can address that and hopefully make it a little more accessible for you. She followed up and said, I've done CrossFit for years, but I'm not happy with my weight or shape. Plus I'm 42 and need more fuel and recovery. So we can maybe get to that. But I would like to first maybe address, are there kind of some like FAQs that we could throw out there for someone who says it's confusing? Let's just assume maybe she's talking about the app.
Yeah. So I guess the first question is, like, are you familiar with counting macros, tracking macros? And if the answer is yes, all right, you have kind of two choices. Maybe you start with one-on-one coaching and work with someone like Nathan. If someone's brand new to RP, that's going to probably be the best spot to start. Right? Like, it's always beneficial to work with someone one-on-one.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it's not necessarily always in the cards for people, financially, because one-on-one coaching is a little bit more expensive. So if that's not in the cards, you are familiar with macros, then maybe you start with the app. That's assuming you are familiar with macros. If you're not, we have something called our simple diet templates. And it's like, it's just 3 meals a day and a snack. You don't really have to worry about the nutrient timing piece. It's meant to be simpler for folks that aren't as familiar with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to overwhelm people.
Yes.
We want people to start. It'd be like if someone walks into a CrossFit gym day one and they're like, hey, it's time to snatch.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't even know how to squat. I don't even know how to move.
Or even past that, we're talking about bar speed in the second pull. Yeah. And you're like, whoa. Let's just get the gross movement. Let's get the gross movement patterns. Let's get the gross movement patterns down before we do that.
100%.
No, I love that. And so there is the personal coaching option.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me just a little bit more about the template. Sorry. So that's actually something that just lives on the website and it's static, whether you're me or you're a 100-pound woman.
Well, so you go in and they're customized based on your sex and how much you weigh. So you are not eating the same as a 120-pound female. That wouldn't make any sense. So they are customized in a sense. They give you a list of acceptable foods and you just kind of pick and play your favorite foods from there. Like, it's meant to be a little flexible, and then you get like kind of free snack calories per day. So that way, again, it's an intro. You don't want to have to force people to be so restrictive with things.
Yeah.
So it's a good introduction that you can use for 3 to 6 months until you get a little bit more comfortable. Then maybe you move into something with the app. But again, like, if you're brand new to all this stuff, maybe you don't start with the app.
Yeah. And Travis Booth, I see your question there. We'll get to that in just 1 second. I think it's a great one. Travis is one of our YouTube regulars. So
awesome.
Hear a lot. But Nathan, let me go.
Sure.
You've got the personal side of things. You work with a lot of people on a one-to-one basis. Is there kind of like the most common thing? If you were to, I don't want to put Angelina into a box, but like someone who comes to you and says, hey, I'm super confused. I don't know where to start. I've been doing CrossFit for me. She's obviously been exposed to these concepts.
Yeah. She's probably heard the whole CrossFit fitness in a 100 words thing, where there's a line in there that says, keep your food intake at levels that support exercise, but not body fat.
Yep.
To connect with the CrossFit, people with the CrossFit background, that's what I would like to start with and say, hey, we're really good at putting that into practice and packaging a diet approach to nutrition in such a way that will support that. And there's kind of two pillars to that. One is the evidence base, which Nick touched on. It's a huge part of what we do. Everything we do is kind of, I don't necessarily know that we can like point to a single study, but there's this like large body of literature supporting the overall practice. But then two, it's packaged in such a way that's understandable to and directly implementable for the general public.
Yeah.
Especially the general fitness public, and then not just CrossFit, but anybody who works out and exercises. And even people who don't, I have a lot of clients who don't work out at all, actually. So it cuts. If you eat and you breathe, we can probably help you.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the big picture is to define the, we and if people don't know these terms, we can kind of educate them a little bit, but to establish the caloric need, like what are your daily calories that you need to maintain your current body weight. And then you have maybe a goal body weight that I talk about with clients. And so we kind of chart a course for there. And then once we get the calories figured out, we break it down into the macros. That's your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. And for the one-on-one side of things, the art and the science is to tailor that to each individual. And so there's a lot of factors that go into that: the body weight, the training volume, the time of day that they train. That's all. We come up with a plan that's kind of custom to them.
Sure.
And then we just implement it, and it's not breaking down to like, okay, what is every single bite of food that you put in your mouth, but as Nick was saying, with the general templates and with the app and with one-on-one coaching, the product is given in such a way that people can say, okay, I can pull from this list of foods for the protein, this list of foods for the carbs, this list of foods from the fat, and you can assemble meals in ways that make sense. It is a lot of chicken and rice and spinach if you want to go that route, to keep it really, really simple. And that's something that if somebody's super confused, and that's definitely a place to start, as well as like keep your meals really, really simple at first.
Okay. So a lot to unpack there actually. So we got.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, and then we just kind of like, then we go through the process, whether it's one-on-one with somebody like me, or one of my colleagues, or the app, or the templates, which is what I actually started with, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's how I came across RP, as a template user.
Nice.
It's kind of like the Just for Men thing. First time a client.
Yeah, but as you say, but that kind of ages you when you admit that you've used a template from like back in the day. That was
like OG.
It's OG.
OG, absolutely.
I would love to talk specifically to the app. And I see questions popping up. And again, for people who are watching this right now, we're live. And so if you do have questions, we'd love to address them, especially if you're an RP user or you've been curious, maybe you've dabbled and had successes, or you didn't have successes and you want some answers. We'd love to get to those. I would love to know, having been involved in the creation of a few apps, loosely, I would say that I was affiliated with organizations who created apps, or I was part of the ideation of some apps. I know that it's a really, really difficult process. It's hard to say the least, and
that's putting it lightly.
It's putting it lightly. And food is something that, as we know, you can overcomplicate it. What are you most proud of when you look at the app?
Its ability to help a lot of people. It's just a scalability to it. So again, like if you go back to one-on-one coaching, not everyone can afford it. So $150, $200+ a month, something like that. It's just not on the cards for everyone. The app's $14.99 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it can help potentially millions of people.
Yeah.
So that's the coolest part. Is it okay if I answer?
Please. Okay. Yeah.
So, I don't want people to kind of be able to like see my mouth here when I'm talking, but the key with using the app, and Nathan and I were actually talking about this earlier when we were hanging out and having lunch, you have to treat it as a proactive planner. The app is not a tracker. You don't use it like, let's say you just went out to eat and you're like, oh, what did I eat? I need to go back and log it afterwards. That's not how you use it. You got to be.
There are apps like that,
right?
That is not this one.
Yeah. MyFitnessPal, whatever.
You're not maximizing the use of RP if you don't use it.
100%.
So you're using it wrong. It seems like,
if you're using it as a food tracker, I mean, there's like a billion food trackers out there. Like, you can probably go get one for free if that's all you want to do. If you just want a food diary, awesome, right? That's a good start. But with the RP app, it's a coach, it's a planner. So you see everything ahead of time. You plan ahead. Right. And so that way, so it's like if you're going over, I mean, just tweak the amount of food. So here's the thing that people like to do. They like to keep eating how they are, but it's like, that's not really taking advantage of having a coach, right? Like you want to change your habits a little bit to meet what the app is telling you, because it's a coach, it's a planner.
Yeah.
So it's not something you use reactively after. It's something you use proactively ahead of time to plan. And when people make that switch, because again, a lot of people are used to using MyFitnessPal. It's like this blows their mind. And they're like, oh, I get it. And then they start following it like it says, and then they get awesome results. Yeah. Because the app updates weekly based on your progress. Yeah. So again, it's like once you make that switch, you're going to be much better off.
Just high five. That's all. Just a high five. That's all I was looking for. Haley Adams, everyone. No, I think that that's a huge distinction, and it is like that is paradigm shifting, because it was for me. I could say like, when you have anytime that you have a plan, you're far better suited to succeed, right? Yeah. But I love that you spell that out, and I think that should answer 99% of the questions that you're going to get, right? Because and some people may not get on board with that. It may be like, hey, that's too much work for me. I don't want to do that.
Okay, right? Like not everything's not going to be
Yes.
for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you just want like a food diary, a food log, hey, just go use MyFitnessPal.
Yes.
But here's the thing with MyFitnessPal, it doesn't tell you like when to eat your meals.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you how much to eat. It doesn't. Again, the app takes all these variables into account and then helps spell it out for you, so you don't have to think. So really, because we just had on our Transformation Challenge winners on the RP podcast. Actually, yesterday I think we recorded it, and they were like, it just takes all the guesswork out. And if you just follow what's listed and you execute the plan, you're going to get really good results.
Yeah. And it's funny. I mentioned one of your books, and you'll have to remind me of the title so people can go find them.
Renaissance Diet 2.0.
Yes.
That kind of spells out. It's a bit more geared for. I mean, it's perfect for CrossFit because it spells out, body composition changes, fat loss, muscle gain, strength and performance. Like, it's not really. I wouldn't call it like a general health eating book, but it's more like kind of sport performance focus, which is perfect.
And as someone who's been initiated to these concepts, like I found it to be extremely informative, but also approachable and a great read.
Yep.
And then your most recent book is actually more geared towards goal setting and success through that.
Yeah. My own is that my own book?
Yeah, your most recent book, right?
The Nick Shaw book.
Yeah.
It's called Fit for Success. Yeah, so it just kind of breaks down. I've been able to work with some really top level athletes. Rich Froning, Annie Thorsauter, and just picking up tidbits here and there from successful people in general. They tend to do the same things. And, again, Nathan and I were talking about this earlier. You start applying that to people when it comes to nutrition and training, it all just kind of makes sense. Like, you got to work hard. You focus on the things that you can control. You have discipline, things like that. Like, these are universal principles. So if you want to learn a little bit about success, you can definitely pick that up on Amazon.
Yeah, so. I love it. I'm going to address some of these questions now directly. Ken, what's up, buddy? Can you speak to why the app won't allow those who are wanting to upload the specifics of their meal to go over their macros so that we can then go under macros later to finish the end of day at our goal? I think that means, can I bank some carbs from this meal and put them at the end of the day kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you can, but again, I hope, and again, I saw one of the other comments there, like kind of helped spell it out with the planner versus a tracker. And if you think about it that way, because that's the thing we really wanted to avoid. I mean, Nathan can probably speak to this from working with clients, but you get a lot of people that if they just have a daily number of macros, maybe they don't eat anything until 6 o'clock at night. And then they're like, oh crap, I eat everything in sight. That's where the planning comes in. Yeah. Because again, if you have a plan, you work ahead of time, you plan things, you're almost always going to be better.
And I played that game the first time that I got introduced to macros. It was long before I'd ever heard of RP, to be honest, but it was like, I would do that. I would eat bowls of cereal at night to try and make up for this massive load of carbs that I'd never tried to hit before. And I was like, game on. This is awesome.
I call it macro Tetris.
Okay.
Moving stuff around to fit a lot of times if you have no plan going into it, that's exactly what you do. Or you end up with this a lot of times it's protein that people end up with.
I believe that's a helicopter for those who are at home, not a malfunction in the audio.
You know, this crisis. You have, okay, what can I eat that has 100 grams of protein in it at 11 o'clock at night before?
Right.
It's like, well, I guess you're going to shout out on some beef jerky or something. So
protein shakes.
Basically, exactly. So that's what we want to avoid is just kind of like these crises.
Yeah.
And that causes a lot of stress. And with stress, the likelihood that someone's going to stick with the plan for the long term is going to go down. So I can't speak to the engineering in the app because that's not my department, but I always discourage my one-on-one clients to do the same thing. I mean, I say, yeah, you can do that. You can choose to do that. But I would say it's like a one-time kind of thing when you got like maybe a party you need to go to or something like that, but not to make a habit of being really loose. Not that we want to be super rigid all the time either, but but the structure for most people is a large part of the success. You kind of engineer out the more opportunities to fail or keep it tight overall, and you're more likely to succeed.
Yeah, I like that. And in keeping with that, it took me a while to learn that. And again, like, people knowing from the get-go this is a planner, that really can be tweaked now, So if you do know that you're going to a party, I can literally on a daily basis, just either one-off or every Saturday I go out, whatever it is, I can actually change my lifestyle to say, actually, I'm going to move my workout from here to here. I'm going to probably not eat until this time, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot more customizable, and that's a recent change, right?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea is to give people a little more flexibility back, and again, if you just kind of remember the software development process, there's always updates being added. There's always more features and things coming back, because when people give us this feedback, and they're like, "Hey, this part of the app is confusing," or "Hey, I don't like this part of the app," we take that into account. Like, we always want to, give a better product. I mean, it's very much like CrossFit training.
Yeah.
You don't ever kind of reach a point where you're like, "Yeah, I think I'm good." Like, there's always something more to aim for.
You don't? I mean, I try and convince myself of that all the time.
Well, I try.
Nah, man, I'm cool.
No, for sure. And it's just, we'll always keep adding more stuff in. And, like people said here, it's like, yeah, it's a little confusing at first. But one thing I was going to actually add too was you kind of have to go in with the mindset that you don't have to be perfect from day one, from meal one. Like, it's okay to, take a couple of days to kind of get used to it. Like, again, I always like to make training analogies. You don't walk into the CrossFit gym day one and expect to be perfect with all of your form. You understand there's a little bit of a learning curve. There's a little bit of a process to these things, and it's okay to not need to be perfect, because you can still get really good results by kind of easing into things, learning how to use it. Again, don't stress over being so perfect right from the start, because you're almost setting yourself up for failure trying to do that. Like, it's okay. Give yourself a little bit of time, give yourself a day or two to get used to things. The same would be for one-on-one coaching.
That's 100%. Yeah. I do a lot of times. I'll do like, hey, we can ease into this.
Yeah.
Like say I'll give somebody their first plan on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, say, let's take until Sunday to have like a soft start. And this is time. It's okay to make mistakes during the time, or like, if you just, just give yourself that grace time to figure it out. And I'll actually won't start their timer. They pay 3 months. I won't start it till that following Monday.
And
that really helps a lot.
I'll speak to my personal experience too. It's like, it takes a minute to learn how to use Spotify. You know what I mean? Like, I got to learn how to make playlists, and I have to how do I browse, and like anything that you're going to invest a little bit of time in. And this, if you really are going to invest in your health and fitness, clearly most of you who are here have already done that in terms of working out. At least if you're going to try and get into nutrition, like, there is a way to start simply, but then there's a lot of nuance to it too, and there's like it's a lifelong learning process. I mean, I've got kids, and like I keep on going down different rabbit holes all the time where you're learning new things and evolving. So I agree. There is an investment, and I love that you said. I mean, it's not for everyone, but I think for a large swath of people, it's a really approachable and very usable app. I wanted, as you were talking about the constant improvements and the iterations. Someone asked about intermittent fasting. They say, Ian said, oh no, sorry. Ian's asking about a cage match, Darren versus Rich. It's Rich, no question. Rich wins everything. Sorry, Darren.
Sure.
I'm glad it wasn't me and Nick or something in the cage match, because I'm kind of I don't know if you can tell, I'm small guy.
It
was, yeah, exactly. Nico Spanos said, hey, I just started intermittent fasting. Is the app suitable for me?
Yeah. So I think probably last fall we introduced a feature where you can mark off busy periods. So if you're using the app, let's say you wake up at 8 a.m., but you don't want to have your first meal until 12, right? I think that's pretty much what Rich does. So you put your wake up time, you put in your sleep period from the night before to the next day. And then from, let's say you get up 8 a.m., from 8 a.m. until noon, you just say, hey, I'm busy. And the app is not going to schedule a meal during your busy periods.
Okay.
So you can kind of slide things back a little bit. So yeah, it totally is. And, like you can intermittent fast. I mean, I think Nathan kind of does some intermittent fasting with some people too. Like it's totally fine to do,
I would say, like, not just like the question, is it suitable for me? I would say that it would be more helpful because if I personally, for me, and again, I'm just speaking like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if when I go longer, if I try to intermittent fast and I don't, it's not the lifestyle that I follow. But when I do, I often don't get enough calories for the day. For whatever reason, it's funny. I will amass like a massive hunger, but then I won't make up for it. So I think that the app is really helpful in saying like, hey, fine, do that, but here's what you need to eat in this period of time.
Yeah. I tend to, if I get that question for people, I ask, why do they want to do intermittent fasting? And a lot of times there's not a great, I heard somebody else is doing it, or like I saw it on social media or something like that. There's maybe a few, but the bottom line is the evidence says that intermittent fasting isn't any more effective than just like a standard. At the end of the day, when calories are the same, you can either intermittent fast or not, and there's no difference.
Sure.
And so the traditional RP structure, where we try to get a meal in early because that's the longest you've been fat. Like the longest time you go without eating is while you sleep. So it's important to start getting some protein in pretty early in the morning. So that's why we have a meal right away, and then have the timing throughout the day, roughly every 3 to 5 hours, have a meal, and then structured a little bit around your training as well. That tends to be more optimal, it's more evidence-based. So I try to push people more towards that. If they're kind of more neutral, if somebody comes in really, really strong, I'm not going to do this unless I do intermittent fasting, then you kind of meet them in the middle a little bit too. So
I love that. Let me see what else we got. So Angelina is she would like to know, is there like a customer service number or process by which like people can kind of reach out? And I guess you could also follow that up with like, what are the best resources for education? I know there's a ton on RP, both the YouTube and the website.
Yeah, so you can go to our website and chat in if that's available. You can email app.support@rpstrength.com. They are incredible. They're very fast, efficient. They'll always get back with you. You can also go to our YouTube channel. We've got a ton of tutorial videos on how to use the app, which are helpful and beneficial. Or drop us a direct message on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah. And again, like we can help link those things, or we can help answer questions on there. Absolutely. Again, like we want people to be successful. So we want to provide those resources if anyone is unclear. So again, don't hesitate to reach out.
That's cool. And Angelina, I'll also put both the gentlemen's home address in here too, so you can go just show up, just be like, "Yo, show me."
Phone number, everything.
That's right.
Personal social security number. Yeah.
We'll get it all. All right, let's see. I'm going to go with Ian here. How can the app be integrated with one-to-one coaching? He said he had great success with the app a couple of years ago, but he's had a hard time getting back into it.
You're passing that one to me.
I'm passing that
okay.
one to you, yeah.
So as of right now, the app and one-on-one coaching are totally separate products/services. But I'm told by the top brass that that's something that's potentially being worked on, but we just don't have a concrete timeline for integrate. So right now I can't deliver my macros via the app. However, I provide a custom template for each client, and it's kind of the same thing if you can get past the whiz bang of everything being on an app.
Is it safe to say that one-on-one coaching is almost like a gateway drug to the app, or maybe like an educational portal where you could say like, "Hey,"
it goes both ways. I get a lot of people coming to me after having used the app, and they say, "You know what? I just need somebody to kind of talk through things with." The human element is where it sets. If you look at you want to know what the difference is between the two, it's really the human aspect.
Yeah,
that's the reason for the order of magnitude difference in the price as well, is that you get somebody. I'm on somebody's calendar, right? Or they get time on my calendar by being my client,
Understood.
right? And I'm available to answer any and all questions very, very thoroughly. And explain things as much as somebody would want.
How does the coaching stuff work? Is it month to month? Is it long term?
There's a few different approaches. So there's a month to month auto renewal subscription. That's kind of like a no obligation thing. You can cancel at any time. And then there's different packages: 3 months, 6 months, 12 months.
Okay.
I would say probably the most common one is a 3-month program. Although since we launched the monthly program, last year, right? It's really becoming more and more popular just because it's, you shell out a little less up front.
Right.
So, it's great.
Let's see. Can you start the templates at any time? It says it's from Ellis.
Easy.
Yeah, just plug it in.
Yeah, you go to the website, you buy them, and they're yours forever. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to get them now and you're like, "Hey, I want to start next Thursday afternoon," cool.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. Those are the Panchik twins that are bar muscling up over our heads. So
it's kind of cool.
That's actually really
kind of
awesome.
Looks like they're jumping on my head. So.
Do you have a question for them? I can't get it to them, but I'm glad you guys get to see them.
On the screen, it looks like they're getting really close to that fan, but that's an optical illusion.
That's right.
I checked and they're safe.
Carlos, hi from Brazil. Let's see. I feel like I missed a couple, and there was one earlier: macros versus calories. I'm not sure. Maybe this is somebody who's used to just tracking calories. Is there a way that you would speak to them on why macros are more effective, or why you choose?
I wouldn't really say it's more effective, but if you know how many macros you're getting, you know your calories by default, basically. Yep. So they're kind of one. They're not one and the same, but for the most part, if you know your macros, you're good to go on the calories.
I explain it to people that don't count calories, but count macros, because you're doing the same thing, and macros are kind of more actionable. Yeah. And it's also not a great habit to get into of like subbing out one macro for the other, because maybe occasionally you can do that again. It's one of those things where like once in a while it's cool, but let's not do this whole thing where we swap out all of our carbs for all of our fats and vice versa.
Yeah.
Or like even worse would be like give us some protein for something else, to like work into like some ice cream or something like that.
Yeah, right.
While trying to achieve a body weight goal, you know,
Right.
trying to lose weight. Use what the majority of our clients are weight loss oriented clients, and we do have some muscle gain clients where that kind of stuff would be okay. But anyway, that's the macros are generally the better thing to go by.
Yeah, love it. I'm gonna see if we can get old Frojo went up to get a shake. Believe it or not.
Oh, good.
Hey,
Living on those shakes.
I can't,
He's behaving.
well, he just
well.
got done training, so
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
exactly. That's
I would like to hear actually. Just this is selfish now.
fine.
There's a question from James. How many times a week do you guys do GHD sit-ups? The three of us combined, maybe once, but the people behind us
I was
on
going to say that's a 0 for me. So I don't know about you.
what's a GHD? No, on a daily basis here, Mayhem.
Whenever my
training.
coach programs him, which is probably once every 2 weeks, to be honest.
Ken, this is a great one. Thanks, buddy. How long? You see that one? How long should we
I
stay
did,
with the app's recommended macros before we consider an adjustment?
So you don't have to worry about it because if you're not on track to reach your goals, the app's going to make a suggestion for you each week. That really, at the end of the day, that's the beauty of the app. Like that's the power of the app. So you just have to follow its recommendations.
So in other words, based on what the scale says and what you're putting in your mouth and what your compliance is, there's artificial intelligence that's going to alter that for you.
Yeah. I mean, we could spend all day talking about some little kind of nuances around that, but if you're following the app pretty well and then you're not on track, the app's going to say, hey, we need to make some adjustments, and then it's going to make it for you if you say yes. Now, again, like it's going to nudge you in a certain direction, but at the end of the day, you have the power to be like, hey, you know what? Because here's the caveat, right? Let's say you're have a 6-hour road trip and you're up at Mayhem for a couple of days, and your nutrition isn't perfect for a couple
theoretically.
of days. Theoretically.
Yeah,
right?
Theoretically.
Yeah. Well, like just from traveling and maybe eating a little bit more stuff, like your weight might be up. So the app doesn't know that, right? Because it's a machine.
Yeah.
So you just go, because the app's gonna say, hey, you're behind track. It's probably time to update. It's time to reduce your macros a little bit. Now that's where a one-on-one coach would be like, oh, hey, you were just traveling. Let's just sit tight. But you have the power in the app to be like, hey, you know what? Let's just repeat the week before.
Yeah.
Here's the man, the myth.
In other words, I'm not changing this.
Yeah.
Scooch a little bit that way.
Yep.
There's a man named Rich Froning
Yeah, maybe we can make room for that.
going to join us. Hello, sir. Hopefully that stretches out.
I
Need
won't
more?
make it.
Yep.
I won't make a joke there.
Thank you. Well, we
What's up,
cut Nathan
everybody?
out.
That's okay. I can
Yeah,
kinda
by
like,
Here, I can
default-
scoot back a little bit too. We need to.
There we go.
There we go.
Well, welcome, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
You guys
We're
talked about everything and everything.
well,
anything
we
and
did, but
everything?
it's great. We've got a couple of people tuning in.
cool.
We solved all of Ken Lavell's life problems.
Good.
And
Good.
no kidding.
So,
He's had some great questions. And Angelina says she's going to sign up with Nathan. So
Jolie.
look,
hey, I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
and but yeah, man, I would love to. We've done a lot of nitty gritty on the app and the concepts, but it'd be cool to hear you kind of talk to your personal experience with RP, even just relationship wise. Like,
yeah. I mean, other than Nick's a Michigan fan and I'm a Notre Dame fan,
I mean,
Oh, geez.
we're working
Oh,
through
man.
that.
we're working through that. We've been working through that for years. I think we're in a good place with it because it is what it
I
is.
mean, Michigan's not really any good at football anymore.
Well,
so-
Notre Dame just can't win a big game. So I mean, they did have the Clemson game, but then when they get in the playoff, it's just terrible. So
preaching
there's
to the
that.
choir here. We can't make.
But
the
we can
playoffs,
both
so-
say that USC sucks, right? We can
easy,
say that, right? Okay.
easy.
What, baby? What do you want to say?
My my wife is a big Michigan fan.
Oh,
And
I
she
knew when she
literally
came
made
over
Rich.
earlier. I thought,
Yeah.
we had.
You had like a thing.
The problem with her
She
is
made Rich leave a party once.
I got so mad because she's the type of fan that knows no one, knows nothing about the team.
She
will
couldn't tell
talk,
you. She couldn't tell you how many players on the field at one time.
but
but
just
she would talk
starts.
smack.
It was the Halloween game when it was raining and you guys
Oh.
smacked us,
Yeah.
and I was in such a bad mood anyway because it was at a large party, and I take that stuff personal as much as I shouldn't. And it's completely out of my control, but it just bothers me, especially when you have high expectations and they just
Dude,
let
oh,
you down.
It's what makes you a champion.
And she walked in and was just like,
Fanatic.
"What do you think of that?" And just started smacking me on the back.
Just jibber jabbing.
And I've never ever in my life wanted to lay my hands on a female.
That's
but
my wife.
I was like, "I'm leaving," and Hillary's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I have to go," and I had no alcohol whatsoever. And everybody there was drunk and belligerent, and I was in a bad place. Yeah, buddy.
Anyways, that
That's
was
funny
a
story.
it was a good
And
night.
I just left. So
It was a good night. Well,
but yeah, speaking of RP, I think the biggest thing for me was just carbs. When we first talked, I think for years and years there's this whole anti-carb push in what we're doing, but it's completely different, I think, when it's for performance. And so we had this beginning, and he was like, "You're not taking in any carbohydrate whatsoever. What are you doing?" And the big thing for me was just eating periodically throughout the day and hitting my kind of times when I needed to feed, because I wasn't, by the end of the day, I would eat in the morning, kind of skip throughout the day, maybe take a shake or two, and then be just beat up by the afternoon session, and then eat a little bit. But when something, I did that for 2 years, followed exactly how you wanted me to do it. And then I stumbled on intermittent fasting, and we're working through that as well. I think,
That's exactly
at first, Nick was like,
earlier.
not real, he just keeps sending me these articles like, "Hey, did you see this article? Somebody had whatever before they 1 rep maxed, and, they were up 6%. And I was like, yeah, but I feel good. I like the intermittent fasting. And as long as I eat enough and I stick to the template within my 8 hours, I feel incredible. As long as I'm getting enough for the day, like I think of at night after I'm done training as I'm feeding that next session, I feel incredible. It's helped me a ton.
Can I speak on that? Because again,
love it.
we're literally so again, like that's really the beauty of kind of the art of coaching.
Yeah.
And that's what Nathan does with clients. Like, I can sit here and be like, "No, Rich, like you have to do this, like perfect." But like if you do that, people are never going to follow it. So you have to go, all right, well, okay, now knowing this, what can we do to kind of make everything fit within those parameters? Because we know that, calories and macros matter the most. And so that's where, that kind of human element is able to come in. You're able to do some of that. So like, fasting's totally fine, especially as long as you're doing everything else right. And I mean, you are. So that's really the biggest piece of the puzzle there.
Yeah.
And would you say, I having seen Rich in, he's just, he's genetically gifted, obviously, right? So like, do you think do you get away with more than most people?
I'd say, yeah, I definitely get away with mix of genetics, the amount of volume that we do. And, I obviously, I stick to, I'd say 85 to 90% of my template, but I would lie if I didn't say, every once in a while, the kids have a little leftover cookie, and I may grab or sneak an EL fudge cookie every once in a while.
I might eat a birthday cake with my hands. You never know.
Yeah, right. Or, eat a whole apple pie if it's there. So,
but yeah, I mean, that's perfect, because we literally talked about this earlier. Yeah. That goes back to consistency over perfection, because like if you're getting things right most of the time, you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
Yep.
What did you say? 85 to 90%?
Yeah.
That's 100. That's exactly what I tell clients to shoot for.
Yeah.
I do not actually say. And a lot of times, clients will come back to me and say, "You know what? I messed up this weekend. I need to be 100% this weekend." I'm like, actually, no, you don't.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Don't focus on focus on 100%, because when you mess up, then what happens? Then you freak out, and then you go to like less than 50%. Yeah. So that's what we want to avoid.
I will speak something that I've and you guys have it on the template, but to be honest, for a while it didn't matter what carb it was. I would just use whatever carbs it was. And something in the last 6 months, I've been trying to take in a ton more berries and a ton more greens. And I can feel a major difference instead of just, whatever carb I can get my hand on, or eat.
Yep.
I'm actually trying to clean that up as well. So, it's almost like multi-step. It's like, all right, let's hit the numbers first and then get that down, and let's try to, change some things out. And so like in this, somebody, who was in the shake. So this is 2 scoops of protein. So it's 40 grams of protein. There's a flat of raspberries and then a half a flat of blackberries. So it's about 170 grams, I think, of raspberries, and like right at 85 of blackberries, and then almond milk. So
and about $170 to make that and cook.
Yeah, right.
What is a flat?
It's like
the whole
six. Well, that's the smaller ones. It's like 6 grams or 6. It'll be 6 ounces, I guess.
I didn't know that unit of measurement.
I don't even know if that's a unit of measurement, but it's just like
it's a plastic container size.
Yeah, I know those things. Yeah. Okay, right on. Cool.
I just say flat. It's probably wrong.
I learned something. No,
it's usually my kind of go-to shake when I either break my fast or right after my afternoon session is that.
Cool.
How do you do with pre-planning? Like, are you
not very good. Something that's
or is it like being a creature of habit probably helps, right?
I could eat or drink or whatever the same thing every single day. If somebody could say, "Hey, here, eat this, drink this. It would be great, but I don't have that. But it would be infinitely easier.
Yeah.
Luckily, though, we have Maddie, who Scott's girlfriend at the gym. She's doing some kind of meal prep stuff, and that's been game changer, actually.
At Meal Prep with Maddie.
Yeah. Is that her?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah.
That's a local.
Yeah, she's just in our gym, and
I just started a local meal prep service for the first time because I did the meal prep thing on my own for years and years, and then it's just like gotten a lot busier lately.
You see what's in my lap right now.
And oh man, that's it's just a local company based out of Atlanta, not far from where I live, and they deliver out to Athens where I'm at. And man, that's been huge. So like that's something I also encourage people to do because a lot of times especially the smaller companies and the larger ones like Trifecta, who we have a relationship with too, they'll help clients work with their templates, their numbers.
I really like Trifecta's meat.
You can afford it, then it's great.
But just their meals, I'm not a huge fan of, but their meat is pretty good when it comes
in.
Yeah, and it's just easy.
Yeah, a la carte.
All right, looks like we got one more.
Well, he also has a video on. I'm pretty sure it's on the YouTube,
Trifecta,
right? It's like a day in the life of Rich.
Yeah, and that was it was rough because, like I said, we didn't have a ton of like that. For some reason that day, everybody's like, he's just drinking shakes. I'm like, I had to get it in that day, and we were busy and had a lot going on, and I didn't pre-plan enough. And so for me, like I said, if I don't take in the calories the day before, the next day is when I feel it the most. And so, I just every once in a while we were trying to prepare. We were playing flag football in a tournament in Panama City. Sorry, Ro. And, doing all that, trying to train and
they told me they're in Fort Lauderdale.
And so
they told me they're in Fort Lauderdale, so that's why I showed up.
So you went to the wrong city?
No, I'm kidding. I just wasn't invited. It's a sore spot.
Okay.
It's an ongoing joke.
Okay. You didn't get invited.
Saludos desde Chile. That means hello from Chile.
Hello, Chile.
Fantastic.
So yeah, is the app is it worldwide? Oh, that was one thing that I saw that was really interesting. Somebody was like, "Hey, how can you make it more accessible to us in Europe?" I suppose they meant units of measure, not accessibility.
No, not really. So it's a very valid critique. Absolutely, definitely working on building up the food database. But if you scan barcodes, it's mostly U.S. foods.
Got it. Oh, I see what
that's
you
kind of the downside. But on the flip side, I mean, you can custom entry. You can literally add in anything you want. I actually remember when we had the custom entry come out, I sent Rich a screenshot because I had entered in Chick-fil-A. I'm like, hey, check this out. You can actually use this in the app. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, you would just have to stick with the basic foods, and then you could do some custom foods if you are in Europe. But hang tight. We'll get some more international foods in there too. So.
Love it. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna do an extended version of this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I would say if you're watching this and you're not watching live and you have questions, you could hit us up on. We'll do a post on.
I was about to say, or they'll be able to comment post this.
Yeah, that's right.
This goes up as well. So
yeah. So keep dropping questions in the comments, and we can get to that stuff tomorrow on the Froning and Friends podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for having us out, guys.
Thank you guys. It's great to be here.
Glad you guys are here.
Glad you're here.
Got the Army Warrior Fitness team here tomorrow too, so you're gonna have to
answer some
7 more workouts.
There we go.
Oh man.
And answer the
If I
question.
can move my legs, maybe.
All right. Should we see if I can actually turn this thing off?
Bet if you go up to that live button at the top left.
Oh, look, end stream.
Or the one that says end stream.
Thanks for watching, family.
Peace.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Say bye.